Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest. We're not disputing that, Cash. It's how does Sonny Liston feel about it? He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
If I'm a one-hit wonder, at least I got one, huh? At least I got something. Really ain't me. The beat bumping, one song could change lives. Let's see something. One joke could save lives. We gon' keep coming, keep functioning. Something out of nothing. Ball wise, I'm top 300. Get your favorite artist. I'll chop it up with mutton. If they haters, your ghosts can be bludgeon. If they for real, we getting money. Subtract BS minus Negroes, cutting everything authentic. Stupid shit I did it. Punishing myself like my mom prison. No questions, no tea, not lifting. One time for tea, being broke wasn't living. One hit wonder, at least I got.
Boom. All right. What's good? What's good? What's good? Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Happy Friday. Is this the camera I want? I don't think so. Let's switch this out. How's everybody feeling tonight? How was your week? Hope you enjoyed it. You dig? We made it. One more day. Definitely cause for celebration as far as I'm concerned. All right, we good with this one. I can dig this. I can dig this. Shout outs to my poets, my writers, content creators, so on and so forth. You know the energy, you know the vibe. We here. I got Sydney in the building. We got a debate on our hands tonight, man. I'm excited about this. This is gonna be a goodie. Quick background. I'm familiar with both of them. I watched Stevie Knight here and there. I watch Abba and Preach here and there. Shout out to Abba and Preach. I did a reaction video to them in correspondence to Miss Sadia Khan being an actual Khan. Yeah. So they're pretty reliable. They do their research. They dig. They've unmasked a healthy following, and I can understand why. So you got two different conglomerates coming together to have a exchange on Charlie Kirk and some comments that were made. Sydney, what's going on? Shout out to Chef. Appreciate you, sir, for pulling up. Hold on, let's get this up here.
Hello. Also, just for Chef, I found that picture that I was talking about yesterday. Where is it? Oh gosh, you can't see it. One sec. Oh wait, God. Come on, phone. It says first dictatorship. Kind of nervous. Which hat should I wear?
That's what's up. That's what's up.
How's your Friday?
It's cool now. The sun went down, so the sun is not.
Oh, that's good. It's humid right now.
Hate it.
Yeah. There's a tropical system off the coast, so we're getting all of that saturated air. So it's just been like sticky and Florida-y. Not a fan.
Right on, right on. Well, look, we got us one here, man. This is one of those where I will definitely be pausing in between because there's probably going to be a lot to unpack, and I'm certain you're going to want to respond to some of this. I know I am. I've never seen these two talk to each other. Like, they have their own separate success and their own platforms that do pretty well. So I thought it was hella dope to see them actually talk about this. So let's bring this up on the big screen. If y'all have anything that y'all want to share in the comments in terms of the video itself, leave it in the comment. I will highlight it. If you want me to pause it at any given moment, just give me a gesture. I'll stop it.
Well, I want to keep up to that. Just think it's differing in opinions. It was more like a the right wants to, or we.
I got that up there.
It was more like focusing on the right versus the left. You know what I mean? And you felt a way about. I'm assuming what your intent was is focus on the right.
Gourmet for less at Aldi. This is going to be interesting.
Gotta love ads.
Different opinion with you as far as this whole situation is that I don't think anything should be toned down if we're highlighting, if we're focusing on the right people. You know what I'm saying? I think that the right versus left is being overhyped, which makes sense because we're divisive as hell. Or left, I feel like, these people need to be held accountable, and we need to zero. The climate.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna say I felt some type of way at the beginning when we're focusing on, like, the emphasis of your video was to highlight Charlie and the attention away from the elephant in the room, which is Charlie Kirk situation, which we never had a situation like this happen ever, because of the social media and the fact that everyone was able to see it. You know what I'm saying? And that makes the situation a whole lot different than anything that's happened in the past as far as a murder of this magnitude. And, you know, it seems that you were minimizing the impact of what happened to Charlie.
Okay.
And
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna keep rolling now. I'll let you.
No, go for it. If you're still on this one, I just want to move from this topic. But
I don't want to roll out like 10 things and have you.
Yeah. It's always better to go point by point. I think so.
Yeah, maybe we should go one for one.
Yeah.
So, it felt like, from my end, it felt like it was a right versus left type of thing, and you know what I mean. From how you were describing it, you know, right's doing this, the left's doing this, and you're saying it's hypocritical of the right to be complaining about the same things that the going on. And when we try to minimize or just bring up the comparison between Charlie Kirk and everything else, it minimizes the tragedy that everyone just witnessed, and like the impact.
We can pause it real quick if you want to add some. I don't know. I think like my internet is kind of acting up, so you might be trying to post and it's not letting you post. Is there?
Yeah, this says the comment has failed to post. Yeah, it probably is. Like, I know you're stormy kind of where you are right now ish, or some of the areas.
My internet the last couple days has been acting weird, so like you might hear a little choppy or whatever. But if you want to, if there's something that you wanted to say in the comments, you can say it now if you want, because I don't want you to forget your train of thought.
Oh no, it's okay. I was just trying to acknowledge what Chef said, but I'm still listening for now. I do have a lot to say, but I'll wait until we're further into the video.
You know, Charlie Kirk, his tragedy was important, but other things has happened, and the right was doing the same thing. So it's kind of like, no, it is to me, it's minimizing, you know, what happened.
Got you. So I think there's 2 points in there. One being the hyper focusing on right versus left. So you felt like we did that too much. And the second part is minimizing Charlie Dess's murder. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So just to go to the first point, I did have that in my notes. I think in your video at around 2-minute mark, you said that I was minimizing Charlie Kirk's murder by comparing it to other political violences or like contextualizing it in the way that I was doing.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm minimizing it. I disagree with that characterization for a few reasons. I think it's natural when someone dies that we try to understand why. That's why people love murder mystery. That's why people, every time someone dies, they want to know who the perpetrator is. They want to know who their motivations are, because murder is generally something that we see as incredibly heinous. And so understanding what led to that is always important. When I'm not comparing, this is not the right word. What I'm doing is that I'm explaining away how our society led to this moment and this man, because he wasn't murdered in a vacuum. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was an individual who's incredibly troubled, and he decided to go out and murder somebody for their political opinions or affiliation, maybe because they had mentally ill issues, who knows? But there's a landscape, and there's a lot of things that lead up to this murder. It's always important to examine these things, because if we don't understand how we got here, then we're going to be doomed to repeat it. It's never, in my opinion, a bad thing to contextualize any world event, provided you contextualize it fully, right? Or at least you try to, because without context, then all that happened was that someone was shot. Context is everything.
Well, to that point, that makes total sense what you're saying, but to me, it didn't come across that way when you voiced that in the video. It seemed like you were trying to, highlight the divide between the right and the left, or whoever the instigators of it are. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't seem like you were trying to get to a root of the problem or how we trying to fix it. It's like, like I said before, I mean, what you're saying now, if you had voiced it that way in the video, I wouldn't have had the mindset that I have in regards to what you said. But in the video, it didn't come across to me like that at all. It felt like
Well, right now, the pervasive narrative, and this is where it comes to the left versus right thing, the pervasive.
I'm going to give you this designer bag if you can prove to me that you know.
Mute. Hold up. All right, there we go.
And Spotify. Probably just do comments when
the pervasive narrative that's online and that's being espoused by some of the most important people in our political, stratosphere, is that violence of a political nature is solely left wing. Okay. And I remember at about 3 minutes, 29 seconds, when Matt Walsh is talking in your video, you said that I was interpreting what he's saying when he's talking about good versus evil. It's time for the righteous to prevail over the forces of evil. You were saying that I was making a left versus right thing, right? But that's just not true.
Hold on, let me make a correction, because you go further on in the video. I recognize that point. I said, hold up, if Matt Walsh is doing that, highlighting the left like this, that's unfair to do so. Then I went on to saying this makes the left look bad. It makes the transgenders look bad. It makes everybody affiliated to this look bad, like guilty by association. That's not the right thing to do. It should be a good versus evil thing, right? But then I went on, because you had a couple other videos of people uttering or echoing the same sentiments as far as, righteous and good and evil. But I did highlight Matt Walsh in that video specifically saying, all right, I see that he is describing the left in this manner, and that shouldn't be the move.
Right. But again, at about like 6 to 7 minutes in the video, you kind of do it again where you say that, that's how I'm interpreting a lot of this narrative of good versus evil. But it's not just Matt Walsh. Ben Shapiro said that most of the political violence today is flowing from left-wing movements and ideology. Elon Musk was on Twitter. He said the left is the party of murder. If they won't let us live in peace, then our choice is to fight or die. Alex Jones said the right-wingers are in a war during a live stream. And he said that the left has been put a bullseye on Trump, and he put a bullseye on his supporters. President Trump himself, during an interview, let's see here. Let me pull up the clip, because I think it's just important to me to get the exact words that he said. On Fox and Friends, he says, we have radicals on the right as well. And he says, I'll tell you how, I can send you the clip you wanted. I'm going to just read it verbatim, his quote.
I believe you, though, bro.
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see more crime. The radicals on the left are the problem. So when I'm talking about right versus left, I'm not talking about someone in a vacuum or someone at home. I'm talking about the most important people in our political discourse, framing most of this violence as I only left. And what you did in the video, and I did appreciate, is that when we said, if you look at the numbers, people got mad because I quoted the ADL, but there's all sorts of things from FBI statistics to different organizations who track terrorist attacks. Most of it comes from religious extremists and then right-wingers. Left-wingers at the bottom of that list, especially over the last 10 years. So I'm not trying to frame this as left versus right. That's the plate that's already been set. Since Charlie Kirk died, the right has not stopped politicizing his death. They haven't stopped using it for fuel for their attacks on the left. And so in that climate, you're asking people to not talk about left versus right. But if the left doesn't, then the just right gets to make the narrative that they're the violent ones. And it's just not true.
Well, my opinion is that both just, it's not a left and right thing. It's an evil versus good thing. You know what I mean? And that's, and then it's me watching you. So I'm expecting that to be that should be the point. You know what I mean? It's like what you're doing is adding just, fuel to the fire to what you're saying everybody else is doing. Like you're highlighting the hypocrisy of people complaining about what the left does, essentially what the right is doing the same thing. You know what I mean? But, with that, like I said, with that the Matt Walsh clip, I specified, I definitely could tell he was highlighting the left, but all that shit is fucking wrong. And I said that in the video.
I agree.
I said that in the video, right? I said that it's not a left versus right thing. It makes everybody look bad. We need to focus on the motherfuckers actually making things horrible for everybody, the extremists, the radicals, all that. You know what I mean? That's what my focus was. I feel like that's what the focus should be for everybody.
Yeah, and I did have that noted in some of the things that I like that you did. I did appreciate that you actually said that, because a lot of people are not saying that, or they're just avoiding the topic entirely. But you have to understand, when I'm watching this video, when I'm watching the discourse, I'm looking at things in its totality. So when I'm talking about,
what video are you talking about? When you say you're watching the video, what video?
I think I was looking at a lot of the political coverage in regards to this. I've been looking at the people who are responding, everyone who's been talking about this, and how the public is talking. If you spend time online, They're not talking about this as like both sides. That's not a lot of the discourse. A lot of the discourse, especially from the right, is that they're just saying essentially the left is the violent party. Go check out those comment sections. Go check out a lot of the discourse from the.
That's going to happen every time that happens. Every time someone from the left does something crazy, they're going to highlight the left. When the right does something, they're going to highlight the fucking right. It just that comes with the territory.
Right. But it should be noted that we should correct those narratives and say that these are not one-sided things. If you watched our video, we didn't say violence is only right-wing. We said there's plenty of people who've murdered people on the left from the left, and we said that. But the dominant narrative right now is that left-wingers are the violent ones, and they're obviously, especially with the most recent murder, it makes sense that it's going to be the dominant narrative. But it's important to not let those lies be able to be spread and to say, actually, guys, you're wrong. In fact, this year there's been other people who've been killed. You said we were minimizing his death by bringing up these other murders, but
a massive healthcare tax hike looms.
One thing I do want to say real quick before this ad gets skipped. I don't know nobody in my neighborhood that's either or. They're just people who happen to vote for folks. They don't really give a shit about that left or right shit. I don't think a lot of people do. But I digress.
To those people being killed is the exact same thing that led to Charlie Kirk being killed. And it's important to know that, because if we don't understand that, then all this is just going to happen again. You said it was different in your video because Charlie Kirk died on camera and nobody was supposed to see that. You remember that you saying that?
Yeah.
Right. To me, I understand that the fact that he died on camera makes it much more graphic, much more in your face. But at the end of the day, murder is murder. Dying is dying. Someone is victimized.
But it's the effect that it has on society. It's not the same. In a vacuum, it's the same. But if people were able to see that video until the end of time now,
sure,
right, they're able to see that man go out the way that he did, and knowing up until this, I can't compare someone else that had the amount of influence Kirk had. You know what I mean? And to have, if he hadn't been murdered in front of everyone at once, your analogy, your comparison will be fair, man. But
okay, can I ask you something?
You can't minimize
if Kirk was not killed on camera, if Kirk's not killed on camera, is this situation more or less tragic?
It's less tragic.
So dying on camera makes a murder worse?
No, not the murder worse, but the effect that has on the people is worse because everybody can see it.
It makes it different. But from a moral standpoint, it's the exact same. There's no difference morality. It's just more shocking.
It's a different conversation. I'm just talking about tragedy. Morality is the same. I'm talking about the effects it's having on society.
Yeah, but if I'm talking about other murders, I'm talking about the moral aspect of it. But that doesn't mean that we can't contextualize it with those other murders. You say it's not comparable, but I disagree. They died for the same reason. They died for the exact same reason.
If you had related that way, trying to bring up the similarities and how you conveyed it just now, it would make more sense. But that's not at all how you conveyed it in the video. It came from, a leftist bias type of perspective from my end, that you were trying to minimize it by bringing up other similarities. You didn't bring anything up about it being moral or same morally. You were just saying, to summarize it, Kirk died, everybody else died, and this happens with political violence.
Yes, because what I'm getting at is not how he died, or like in front of who that he died. What I'm focused on is why was he killed. Okay, so let me say I agree with you. Let's do a different exercise. Let's say I agree with you. These are different to a degree. So what's your point? We shouldn't contextualize his murder?
Well, in your video, it didn't feel like you were contextualizing. If I felt personally that you contextualized it, trying to get to the root of a problem, then we wouldn't be here today. But I felt like your intent was to minimize Kirk's death by bringing up all these things that happened.
I would argue that you are minimizing his death by not contextualizing it properly. If you don't talk about why something happened and how we got here, then all you're doing is just describing a tragedy.
I'm not talking about why. I'm just focused on your video.
Yes, but if you're going to counter my narrative and say that I'm wrong for contextualizing it the way that I did, or you don't like the way I contextualized it.
You're saying you're contextualizing it now. When I watched it, I didn't think you were contextualizing. I just thought that you were minimizing it.
That's fair. I disagree with that. I think I talked about how we got here. I definitely said that in the video. I talked about the fact that there's been a string of political violence over the last 10 years and that this is not a shocking outcome. Kirk being assassinated is not the craziest thing. There's a reason why he had security. There's a reason why I think he was wearing a bulletproof vest. There's been threats on these people. So we have to take that into consideration, understand that this is not something that happened that is out of this world. Even Kirk himself realizes this is a possibility. There's a reason why everyone who does these.
I get your point, but that's not at all my argument, bro.
But that's what I was talking about. That's what I was talking about in that video, for sure.
Well, I mean, I didn't receive that on mine. If I felt like you were contextualizing it, then we're on the same wave as far as this is what happens when politics get off the rails. But in the video, like I said, I thought that you were just minimizing it by comparing it to everything else. I didn't feel like there was any contextualizing there. So just got to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And I've watched the video probably 3 more times because, we're having this conversation today, man. And I didn't get it all that you were contextualizing it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say that. I was saying those words exactly, contextualizing it, but I think that is what I was doing. But again, we could agree to disagree. So those were, I think, your first 2 disagreements that you had with me. Yeah, you can definitely let me know some other ones that you had for sure.
And I mean, I just get to the meat and the potatoes now, man, because of him in your video?
Yeah, okay, we can address that because I did have that in my notes as well. I think around like the 20-minute mark, you said I took him out of context, right?
Not even take him out of context. You put your context on it because we let it play. I put the additional clips on it.
Okay, so just for the viewer, there's a clip that we played, maybe of 15 seconds of Kirk on a Jubilee panel. He's talking to somebody. This is a panel about Christians versus or is it right wingers versus lefties? I don't remember what it was.
I don't know, but it was about abortion.
Okay, it was about abortion, right? And Kirk is a very Christian, self-proclaimed Christian. Everyone knows this about him. So in that clip, the woman is asking him a hypothetical where he says, if your 10-year-old daughter was raped, okay, would you force her to keep the child? Is that a fair assessment of the clip?
Yeah.
And then Kirk says yes.
He said yes, the baby will have the baby, or my girl will have the
okay.
child.
And then you said that we were kind of dishonest with how we did that we clipped him out of context, and then we put our own context, right?
No, I'm not saying you put your own context. You didn't put the entire context.
Okay.
Like you said, you led into it by saying, I think I'm not going to recite you verbatim, but it was essentially, I think that Kirk has said some disgusting things as well.
Yes.
And
I played that clip. Yeah. So let's just talk about that first clip because I remember you taking that first clip and being really shocked. I think, let me just see here. Because I did have that in my notes here. Oh yeah. You said that. You said that was really surprising that you were shocked coming from me and you called me the king of receipts.
Yeah.
But yes, so that is
real shit, I not rely, but I know when you giving somebody shit, you gonna have.
Okay, so how do you feel I took that clip out of context?
Because when I see that it's trying to paint Kirk as a monster because he's going to force his 10-year-old daughter to have a child.
Right, but as somebody who's anti-abortion, that's his stance. He will force his daughter to have the child because he feels as though life is precious or whatever it is. And, he sees the fetus as a life. So he's like, my daughter will have that baby. That's his take.
Yeah. But if you let the rest of the video play, I mean, it's subjective. Everybody's going to feel differently watching that. But if you just have that short video, it makes it seem like he's a monster. I don't care. Anti-abortion, she having a baby. It could be for anything because my way or the highway or whatever the case may be, bro. Everybody's not informed on Kirk and his reasonings why. And I think that you let the video play and he gives you his reasonings why, people would understand it. They may not agree with it, but they'll understand it and they'll take a blow away from how they're initially feeling about him being a monster.
Well, they'll see him still as a monster because no matter how much you explain it from a religious standpoint,
but that's your opinion.
But that was my whole point. Do you remember what the greater point of that whole section was? That section was about the fact that some people view him as a monster, including me. I don't like the guy. I didn't think his politics were good. That's my personal opinion. I think I'm free to say that. And I played clips that to me showcase his stances on things that I just don't agree with and I think are disgusting. Forcing your 10-year-old daughter to have a baby, okay, that after she was great, okay.
Who's that?
Oh, he marks up medicines.
340.
Yeah, I didn't know it was getting that tense. Hold up.
Justification you want. There's nothing in there that took him out of context. His stance
It
was
is, because if you having that short snippet, people are not gonna know why he's doing it. They're just gonna know he's doing it. If he gives justification of why, and he gave very clear reasons of why, that's going to make some people look at it different. You're putting this. You know what I mean? Like, it's like showing a video of somebody shooting somebody in the head, but just randomly. But you
okay.
I do want to say something real quick before I keep playing it. I always say, do your research. Make sure you know what you're about to get yourself involved in. Like, if you're going to have a conversation about things like this, make sure that you understand your approach, your argument, and make sure you're going into it willingly prepared to listen to the other person. Make sure you understand context. Make sure that you're humble. You can't go into these situations with ego. And you can't go on there with your mind already made up that everything is the way that you want it to be, because you might have heard something and thought it was one way when it was really about something else.
Like killed my mom, and then it makes sense.
No, because the people who are following this, or people even tuning into this stuff, know that Charlie is a political speaker who's incredibly Christian. So
you're making that assumption, though, bro. Like, you're making that assumption because now, since Kirk has died, there are so many people that are just now learning about Kirk. There's so many people that didn't know before. There's so many people that didn't know before. You put that narrative out.
Can I ask you?
This is a big reason why so many people don't like Kirk, because they get some of these short reels taken out of context.
But they're not out of context. It's not a context.
It is.
It's not. It's not, Stevie. If someone says, I'm anti-abortion, I'm a Christian, we know why you don't want an abortion to happen.
In that clip you put, he didn't say he was Christian, though. He just said, she just gave an example, and he said no, she can have a baby. He didn't say he was Christian.
This guy was all over the world, all over the news, and he was constantly making an assumption. No, I'm not making an assumption. Everybody who saw that clip of him getting murdered knew he was a political speaker who's Christian. There's not a person who didn't see that clip, who didn't see the news reports, who didn't know what he was. You're acting like I took an obscure person.
That's not true. That's not true. You can't speak for everybody in the world, dog.
That's not out of context, boss. That's not out of context.
Because I talk to people now that had no idea who the fuck Kirk was. Now they see him on his timeline going, and they don't know who the fuck he is. That's false, bro.
He has the very standard cookie cutter Christian view on it. There's nothing.
Regardless, you're making the assumption that people know, dog, and that's a dangerous game. You got to give them.
That's not an assumption. That's not an assumption, boss. I'm sorry. Anybody who's following this knows he's a Christian political speaker. I'm sorry, but I'm just not buying that. In fact, everyone's been introducing him as such, so we know why he does not like abortion. I don't need to see 5 minutes.
You know, and a lot of people do know. Everybody doesn't know, dog. And you got to be fair and give the reason why. You got to give the justification why. If you just say he's doing this, they go, oh, he's a motherfucker because he's gonna force a 10-year-old to have a fucking daughter. But if you go let the shit play and he gives the fucking girl the business of why he made her look stupid. To me, I mean,
but that's because you're probably anti-abortion. Am I right?
No, I don't know. I could care less. I respect his stance. I'm not pro. I'm not anti. I respect his stance. I don't agree with it, of course, but I respect it because he's standing on the team.
Okay. But my point still 100% stands. At the end of the day, if you are going to force a 10-year-old to have a baby because you believe abortion is wrong, it's okay for people to say you're a disgusting person, and other people can agree with your stance and say you're cool. My entire point was
my argument. My argument was you took about the context. People can say what they want to say, but okay. About the context, you're manufacturing a narrative.
I'm not manufacturing a narrative. The narrative was very clear. He's a Christian man. He's against abortion. Super basic.
You didn't have Christian in that clip, though.
I didn't have to because everyone knows who he is. But
everybody does not know. Look.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree. We'll agree to disagree. But I think that's not taking someone out of context. If someone says I'm a Muslim, if someone says I'm a Muslim and I'm a no. I think you're reaching. I think you're definitely reaching. But it's okay.
How am I reaching?
You're reaching.
How am I reaching?
He's the most viral person right now.
Look, man. I understand both sides. I can be very neutral here. Everybody don't know who Charlie Kirk is. I know people personally who don't know who he is. They didn't know who he was until he got shot. The only reason.
Oh, sorry. I only barely knew of him from, I saw him once on that, I forgot what it's called, but they're like, they sit in the circle and they like debate each other. Half is on one side, half is on the other. I've seen him in that, but that was the only reason I knew who he was.
Yeah, so exactly. I understand where Stevie coming from with that. But I do understand where Abba is coming from. Abba is saying, look, based on who he is and who he was, there is a group of people out there in the world who knew who he was because of what he does. He's not even referring to the group of folks that have no idea. He's not even acknowledging that. He's talking about the folks that study him, who go to these group sessions, that sit across from him and have these conversations, who study him on YouTube. He's referring to them group of people. So they're right in their own regards. As far as him taking it out of context, I'm gonna let it keep running, but I do kind of think Stevie kind of misunderstood some stuff too, and he did kind of admit to it.
He seems like he's, as I said in the comments, it seems like he's being guided more from like the emotional standpoint rather from the logical standpoint. Like it's that same, I hate to use this word, but like that almost butthurt type of attitude where they've lost somebody that was important, and he was more on the right side, even though he did have these conversations with both sides, and he was trying at least to find common ground. But I think a lot of the, like you said, a lot of the people that have been really, really into his stuff, they're going to approach this from a very emotional standpoint, as anyone would. Like if a mother had her child killed, she's probably not gonna be like, oh yeah, all deaths are equal. Like she's gonna be like, you killed my child, I'm gonna come after you. And so I feel like it might be a little bit from that position where these people that know him really well, have watched him for years and really like his stuff, they're going to have more of an emotional response because to them it's a loss. And so it's hard for them to hear like, oh yeah, his death is just one in a ocean of other deaths. It's like that emotional offense kind of.
The girls, he said, I'm going to force the 10-year-old to have a fucking baby. That's it.
No.
That's all everybody going to see. There's no more context. You didn't give a motherfucker the opportunity to explain why.
No. He's the most viral person in the world. People know he's a political commentator. They know he's Christian. I'm not buying that, but we'll agree to disagree. That's not taking someone out of context. If you're not an unknown person, we know where you're standing. We know what you're there for, but we'll agree to disagree. This is another point you made, and this is one I thought was crazy. You played the other clips of Kirk. You kind of said there's nothing bad about this when he said he wanted Biden to be executed or given the death penalty. You don't think that people should hate somebody like that, or some people might hate somebody for that reason? For saying violent things like that?
Yeah. That's their opinion.
Another point that you made, I played a second clip, and this is probably one of the wilder clips. A young man goes up to Charlie Kirk during that debate, and he says to him, hey, what do you think about school lunches for kids? And Charlie laughs him. He says, there's no starvation in America. We have an obesity problem. Nobody here is going without food. And then you agreed with him. You said there's no starvation in America. Go get food stamps. You can get food at churches. There's no reason to starve. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there's no reason to starve in America. It's like 1% of households have like technically a hunger issue.
I gotta stop this shit again. Like, bro, I just did a reaction video. This woman got fired from her job because she was taking money out of her pocket to give kids at an elementary school lunch because they couldn't afford it. They fired her because I guess she was going against their laws or whatever. But it's like, how do you say that this is not true? Hell, even when I was growing up, lunches was not cheap. Most kids couldn't afford it. I don't know where that came from.
There's even government stats. 18% of households with children could not afford to buy enough food for their family. 33% of food insecure households had income at or above the federal poverty level. So even people that aren't considered impoverished still struggle with food. 58% of households participate in one or more federal nutrition programs, including SNAP, WIC, and the school lunch program. And it's it's fairly evenly distributed. 13% in the West, 15% in the South, 12% in the Northeast, 13% in the Midwest. So, and then also most households spend about 27% of their income just on food. So I heavily push back against what he said. And that's all people that were like considered housed and stuff. We're not even considering the massive amount of homeless individuals as well who don't even end up in the statistics because they don't have access to anything. So yeah, I highly disagree with that comment.
True, bro, but people are not starving to death in America, bro. Motherfuckers are fat as hell.
Okay.
It's a fact.
And see, this is the problem I have with like people who are pro-life, and not you specifically, but people like Charlie Kirk. They're so obsessed with keeping fetuses alive. They pretend it's like this big virtue. And then when a child is born, they're like, fuck you, your parents take care of you. It's actually probably one of the most hypocritical. And this is why I think Charlie Kirk is probably a shitty person to me, is that he spent all this time being anti-abortion. But when it comes to every government initiative that's meant to protect kids and keep them good, he was always against it. And to me, it's like, what's the fucking point of keeping this fetus alive if when it comes out, you're like, yo, fuck you, kid. And that's what he did. He said that guy was...
He said, fuck you, kid?
No, he didn't. But he might as well have when he's constantly championing everything that's anti-public sector, or sorry, government-involved taking care of kids. Like even you saying there's no starvation is like so disingenuous. If you just Google it, there's like so many kids today here in America. You could look it up, the statistics, that have malnutrition, that have food scarcity, that have all these problems. It stunts their growth. It fucks them up in terms of their academic success. And for you guys to sit there and think that food lunches for kids is a crazy idea and parents should take care of them. Some parents are dog shit. Some parents don't take care of their kids. And so that's why these school lunches happen, so that kids who go to school get a meal. But people like Charlie Kirk, and then you did the same thing, are like, oh, the parents take care of it. That's fucking stupid. And I'm like, do you guys even Google this stuff? Do you guys even look into it? But you speak confidently against this stuff that's hurting hundreds and thousands of kids. And I'm like, I don't get it.
I'll ask you a question. Which one is higher, the amount of abortions in America or the amount of starving children in America?
The amount of starving kids in America.
Oh, that's cap.
That's cap? Did you Google it? Did you Google it?
I don't need to Google it.
You don't need facts. But you know what? Facts don't care about how you feel about it. I need you to Google it.
Okay.
Go Google.
Somebody Google it in the chat.
Okay.
But I'm not you. Let me figure out the best way to articulate this, because you have this anger towards Kirk and me and whomever else because we don't support government, not even support government assistance. We're saying the parents should do it. But in the reality of the problem, bro, there's so many different ways that people can eat outside of their parents. There's, bro, food stamps, churches, charities, bro. Like, there's no reason for somebody to starve.
So do you want a 7-year-old or 8-year-old to go to get food stamps or go to church? and get food?
Their parents should go.
What if the parent doesn't want to go? What if their parent doesn't want to go?
You saw in the video I said it, bro. I'll be jealous when I see the amount of money these people have on food stamps, bro. They be running these EBTs up $400, $500, $600, bro. Like there's no excuse for somebody to be broke or to be hungry unless they got like they're picky, they're bougie about what the fuck they want to put in their body, dog. But beggars can't be choosers, bro. Like you can't have no filet mignon when you can't afford it, dog.
Okay,
we live in a capitalistic country, dog. It is what it is.
Let's take 2 steps back. All right, let's take 2 steps back. Do you agree with there's a lot of bad parents out there?
Absolutely.
Do you know that there's a lot? Hold on. Do you agree that there's a lot of parents who neglect those children?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that those kids should suffer because they have bad parents?
No.
Okay,
I don't think they should, but bad shit happens.
So wait, you're just gonna let kids suffer when the?
No, I'm not gonna let them, bro, because there's other avenues. Like if they're going to school, this is a hypothetical.
Well, no, hold on. What did you say? If they're going to school, what? If they're going to school, they can get a free lunch there?
If they're going to school, I'm assuming that teachers are aware. They can see someone losing weight.
But that's what the program's for, Stevie. That's what I'm saying. The program is meant to give kids lunches at school.
No, that's not where I'm going with it. I'm talking about like teachers making calls to get, the correct parties involved to address a child, to find a potential food for them so they can take advantage of the surplus of food that is available for people in these situations. Like the homeless don't go hungry, bro. They can go get a meal if they want to get a meal.
You're comparing children to homeless. Like, what are we talking about? See, I want y'all to just think about it. So there's shitty parents out there, okay? And you want teachers to call the shitty parents to be like, hey, be better parents. Or you want to call child services? You want to call child services? You want to put them in foster care?
It may be better than having the shooty ass parents.
Have you looked into foster care, Stevie? Have you Googled foster care?
But you're describing these parents as ain't shit, bro. Like it is bad shit happens.
I know. I cover them. I cover them every day. There's a lot of ain't shit parents. There's a lot of ain't shit. Bro. You cover them. How many videos have you done about baby mamas? How many videos have you done about baby mamas and dog shit parents? If I go to your channel right now, I'll find dozens, hundreds of videos. So you want teachers to call those parents and be like, hey, feed your kids.
You're saying that I'm telling teachers to call the parents. I never said that. I said they can call parties that do this for a living to find children the resources that they need. Like teachers do this all the time. They'll see a child that may be neglected and they'll make the calls or alert people to, intervene. Right. But I mean, I feel like we're pushing it far out to like specifics of it, bro. At the end of the day, my point of view on it is that it's, abortion is a far larger problem than starving children. Children don't starve in America. They may be hungry, but they don't starve. This isn't fucking people. It's not a famish going on. People are not dying because
they're not dying. But do you understand?
Like hypertension, obesity. There's much more obese kids than there are hungry kids, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the world's not perfect, dog. It's not utopia, bro. So it's like I get. And then I'm a capitalist, dog. I'm not in support of the government coming out taking care of everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to oppose it. Like,
but you want the government to get involved and stop abortions.
I never said I don't give a fuck about what anybody does with abortion.
Did you say it's a bigger problem?
Yeah, I said it's a bigger problem. But I didn't give a solution to it. I know it's a problem. I never said what I want to do about it. I could care less. Like it is what it is, dog. This life is fucking.
How can you not care about it, but act like you have a care about it? So in one breath, what you're telling me is, to you, this is a bigger problem than the other one, but in the same breath, you really don't care. But you're trying to use it as an argument as if it's important, but you don't really think it's important. Maybe I'm hearing this wrong.
I also want to point out too, he's arguing that, all of these programs exist and blah, 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 blah. He's not considering the fact that you have to apply for these programs. You might have to be waitlisted for these programs. You don't get to choose how much money you get. You don't get to choose how often you get this money. And this is all based on most of the time, it's based on public funding. And if your communities do not have the money to afford those programs, if you live in rural areas that do not have access to those facilities, you don't have access to those programs. And the the fact that he's trying to say like, well, we have all these programs so people shouldn't be starving, that's a complete fallacy. Like, you can definitely have people that don't have access to these programs, that don't know the programs exist, that, as I said, live in communities that don't have access to these types of things. And again, you can get it 1 month and then find out that your income went up just a little bit, so you lose access to that program. You can make just a little bit over their requirement, and then you don't get any food stamps at all. And so and if you're on that kind of cusp, that's not going to help you. You're probably already living paycheck to paycheck, and you can't afford food. And if you have children, we all know how much children eat. It's incredibly expensive, especially now. Like, I watch videos about cost of living and stuff like that, and there are people that have to spend like $800 on food just to support their families because of how expensive everything is. So I think that whole argument is just, first of all, insulting. And then also it's plain wrong. Like, I know somebody myself who is on food stamps, and it's literally like paycheck to paycheck still. Like, they use up all of their food, and sometimes they have to wait like a week or two before they're even able to get their next round of money. And again, they had to be waitlisted for it. It took them a while to get it. They thought they might lose it at one point. They had to fight for it. So yeah, I just think that what he's arguing is incredibly short-sighted.
Hard, dog, and some children are born in fucked up circumstances, bro. It is what it is.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. I think a lot of people would hear your stance or hear Charlie Kirk's stance and say, you guys aren't the best people because you don't seem to care about making sure that other people in society are okay, right? You guys are more focused on being capitalists and taking care of yourselves, which is okay. Do that. But if people want to look at you and say, well, you guys spread hate out there, or you guys spread selfishness, I think that's okay. I think I'll be allowed to do that.
I never said that was a problem. I said people can say whatever the fuck they want to say. My issue with people was celebrating his death, like championing pom-pom and that shit. That's the epitome of evil to me.
That's the epitome of evil.
Not a right or left thing.
You think it's more evil to celebrate that man's death than it is for that man to advocate for the fact that children don't get meals?
But they can get meals. Is that the only video you've seen him talk about children?
I'm just saying someone dancing in the room. I think it's bad. I agree. I think it's bad that someone danced in the room and thought it was great that Charlie Kirk died. But I also think it's bad that you're out there openly advocating for kids to not get meals in school because we have an obesity problem. I think that's also bad. I think so.
Get meals in school. I'm advocating for kids to take advantage of the surplus of food available to them in different ways that it is.
Yeah.
It's not on somebody to do it, bro. Like, you know, you're shitty parents. I get it, but we disagree on that perspective, dog. Like, you think that the government should step in and save the world. I don't agree with that. I mean, if they do it, I'm not gonna contend it. I'm not do what you want to do, bro. But I understand Kirk's perspective in that.
We pay so much in tax dollars, and most of it goes to the military to do funding wars overseas. I don't think it's so crazy to say, hey man, take 1% of that budget and make sure these kids don't go hungry. Take another 1% of that budget and take care of veterans. But you know, like maybe that's wrong. I just think it's crazy. It's me personally.
I wouldn't disagree with you with that, but I don't disagree with Kirk either. I mean, I don't think he should be painted as a demon for having that viewpoint.
I mean, I think it's pretty demonic to not want kids to have meals. Personally, that's me.
He never said he didn't want kids to have meals. Is that the only conversation you've seen Abba have discussing that topic?
When he was suggested a food program to make sure that kids who can't get access to good food or decent food or have malnutrition get food, he said, no, that's fucking stupid. Let the parents do it.
Can you answer my question, though? Was that the only video did you let that video play and see what else he said in regards to that discussion?
Yeah, I played it.
And what did he say?
He said that he thinks that the parents should take care of it. The state shouldn't be involved.
He said, pull it up right now. I'll see it.
You can pull it up, but that's what he said. He said the state should not be involved.
No, bro. You're a victim to the same thing everybody else going through, just getting sucked in by these reels, dog. He's named all these different avenues, these different ways of children to receive food. You're just
hold up. How does a hungry kid get food?
I gave you one example.
What is it?
If he's at school and teachers are aware of what the fuck's going on and they see a damn child coming in there looking emaciated, I don't know. I don't know what teachers, but I've seen instances where teachers step in and get the correct party involved to help said children.
Okay, so you want the state to get involved to make sure that kid gets school? You literally just like that's what you said. You want this? Do you know this?
I never said want. I said these resources are available to them.
But that's what your solution is, right?
That's not my solution. I'm giving you the fact that there's different avenues and resources for children to get food if they need it.
Okay.
I'm not saying what I want. I'm saying what's available to them. There's no reason to starve, dog.
All right. Hey, listen, we'll agree to disagree on this point. No reason for kids to, but statistically speaking, every year there's so many kids who are suffering from malnutrition. That's what the numbers say. We'll move on to the next point.
And there's so many people that die from car accidents, bro. We get shit. Fucked up shit happens. Like, we can't save everybody. We can't save everybody, bro. Like, it is.
But just because we can't save everybody doesn't mean we don't try.
But there's avenues for them to be saved. Just not maybe.
You know the difference between a car accident and someone that's starving? The kids aren't behind the wheel. They're the passengers. They're trusting you to get them where they need to go. Not the other way around. When was the last time you seen a 10-year-old driving an SUV? Like, that shit don't make no sense to me. Yeah, bro. You, Chef, I agree. He picked the wrong person to have this conversation with. He definitely did.
I find it ironic how he keeps saying, like, bad things happen. Imagine if they applied that to Kirk. If they just said, yeah, well, bad things happen. I mean, he got shot. People get shot. People die. People fall off cliffs. People get in car accidents. Like, why are you making a big deal out of it? People get in car accidents every day. I find that so ironic how they're always using these lines. But then if you use it on them, logically, they're like, oh, I can't believe you said that to me.
Exactly.
Not with this school.
Yeah, like, yes, car accidents happen every year. Doesn't mean we don't try to make cars safer. Doesn't mean we don't make roads better.
And there's ways for children to get food.
Okay, man. I'm gonna disagree. I think that stance is crazy.
You don't think there's other ways for children to get food outside?
I don't know. Have you ever been a kid? You think kids just know where to get free food every day? You truly think kids know what the resources are? Like, what are we talking about, man?
I don't know what their day-to-day is, man, but maybe there's meetings or like ways that teachers can express this to children to like educate them on, there's like sex reproduction type of information they get. There's like, if there's a potential for a problem to be had, I'm assuming that, there may be ways for schools or whomever to express these resources to kids to make them aware of it, at least. Like, if they come in hungry, hey, we have this available if you are hungry. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how it is, but there are different ways for children to get food. I'm just making sure off the top of my head of how that connection may occur.
Yeah. I just think in terms of a worldview, we fundamentally disagree on this topic, but it's fine. We can move on to the next topic because I don't want to lap in circles.
But look, first of all, like, my only issue was the manufactured narrative. And then, we got to the bottom of, like you saying, you were contextualizing it in the video. I didn't receive it as such. I mean, those are mainly the unless you have something.
No, because I think you went over some of the stuff that I had because we both watch each other's videos. Another problem I had, I think this is like and I'll pull up the clip too, because this ever happens around, because I think you said you felt I was very biased. This is a very liberal take on things. That was a quote. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. I'll come back to that after. Yeah. So when you say this is a very liberal take after like watching a good like 10 minutes of our video, and you feel like what we're saying when we're saying, hey, both got sides engaged in political violence, there's a lot of this happening right now. Why do you feel like this is a very liberal or biased take?
I mean, it kind of goes to what I was saying initially, where it was like minimizing the effects of Charlie's tragedy and bringing up other examples to compare it to. And I can't remember.
Okay. Just to come back to that, let's say if we could contextualize it, or we couldn't do it the way we want, talk about other political violence. What would you have preferred? Do you prefer that everybody who talks about Charlie's death talks about it in a vacuum and they just talk about him dying? Like, because you didn't like the fact that we talked about like all the other deaths and all that stuff, and that's fine. But like, what would you have
No,
preferred?
if in that video, if I understood it as you contextualizing it, I wouldn't have a disagreement with you.
Okay.
I just felt like it was a way to minimize what happened to Kirk.
Okay. Okay.
People can say whatever they want to say.
Okay.
I watched you, I follow you, and I was just surprised by the tape.
Okay. I feel like you got a lot of right-wing bias. I feel like you call
I do.
Yeah.
I can agree with you.
Yeah. In the video, you said that you feel like the left is the emotionally driven side. You feel like the right is more logical. You said the left is more emotional, so I feel like you think the right is more logical.
Yeah, I'd agree with that take.
So you don't feel like the right engages in a lot of hysteria or a lot of emotionality.
Yeah, they do.
Do you feel?
I think a valid, I guess, label for the left. I mean, with the whole different nuance, there's much more nuances in different ways that the left operates, man. Outside of like racism and racism, I feel like the right gets crazy extremists with racism and like transphobia or whatnot, man. But there's just lots of spectrums to perspectives and different ways of looking at life and mental health type of things that derive mentally and emotionally from the left, which is propagated mostly on, all I see is on social media, bro. That doesn't appear as much on the right. It's usually like, a nationalist or some white supremacist or, some anti-gay that's out here doing the utmost.
Yeah. Okay.
There's not a lot of conversations as far as, gender dysphoria. That's a mentally emotional type of conversation that, is very relevant. The whole LGBTQ thing, and you get children involved and all, it's much more nuanced, much more layered. The right wing is much simple. It's more based on traditions and values, and then you got motherfuckers that are super traditional and super values, and that's when it gets hateful.
Do you think that traditions and values are logic based?
It's a twofold. Some of it is based on religion, but then like you can apply logic to it. You know what I mean? Because it's been a tradition because something has worked for so long, right? So if it's working, we built this logic to know it works this way. We sustained the quality of life for this long, so we know based on our tradition that this thing works. And then when we take take tradition and values away, we have this mess we're in right now.
Yeah, I'd fundamentally disagree with that. People have done certain things for thousands of years, from human sacrifices to all kinds of really fucked up traditions. And
I'm focusing here in America. I mean, there's no perfect way of doing things, bro. But I think I'm the simpler, the better, man. There's not room for extra bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot more crazy things going on because we've opened up the gates. And, we scale it back. And I'm not talking about, nationalism, white supremacy, whatever, man. People can do what they want to do. But when you let everybody just follow their feelings and follow their heart and do what they want to do and don't apply any logic, then, problems arise.
Do you think faith in religion is logical?
No.
Right. But that's what a lot of the right is driven by, no?
The one group of people that banks are afraid of are the regulators. They are petrified of the regulators.
And to be honest with you, I don't think everything about religion is necessarily logical. There's plenty of laws and rules in there that are good principles to have in everyday life. But I just reject this notion.
I'm not religious. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But you made the assertion that you feel like the left is more emotional. But I would argue that if you are, very religious, that a lot of that is based in emotion. It's based in faith. It's based in ideas. This idea that lefties are all emotional, but righties are more lefties are more emotional and righties are more logical. It's just like, I think it's just I think it's a very
phrasing it that way is making it much more extreme than what I was trying to convey. Just think that the label of emotional is more along the lines of the left than the right. Right. I'm not out here saying every lefty is a lunatic. I understand the stigma or whatnot. I'm not.
Yeah, I personally think the problem is that you're demonizing the idea of emotionality, and especially in the way that the left might express it. But I think being emotional in healthy doses is very, very good. And the much of the way that the right expresses it, if done well, can also be very, very good. But this idea, you almost made it like a critique that the left is more emotional. But I'm in my head, I'm like, well, just today, right? Or yesterday, during the memorial, I watched Charlie Kirk's wife give a speech. It was hyper emotional. It was very faith-based. There wasn't necessarily logic to it all the time, but it was still very beautiful. It was very moving. And that sense of emotionality is something that I appreciate. I just think sometimes
I would too, but I think problems derive from the right and the left when the right does, I'm only focused on the bad things. That's what we focus on, right? If it's good, who cares? Everything's working. But the bad, there's an argument to be made that when bad shit goes awry, it's because people's emotional connection or just mentally unstableness to how they align. All I'm saying,
I would agree with that.
All I'm saying with the left, there's more opportunity for error because of so many different ways you can go about this, man. Like just quantitatively, right? There's much more there's much more margin for error emotionally with the left because of everything that the left has going on.
I get it. This is just my opinion, so y'all don't really have to take anything that I'm about to say for anything, but I really hate this left right thing. You've heard me say this a number of times. I just don't like it. Because I really just look at it like, and we've talked about this just recently, you're just doing this putting people against each other thing. Like men versus women, culture versus culture, logic versus emotional, science versus religion, politics versus censorship, freedom of speech versus, it's just the same term nicely retrofitted with its own term, and you assign it to a specific group of people, and then you hide behind it to make an excuse for human nature. When it all boils down to any of this, it's just human nature. You're either a shitty person or you're a decent person. And that does not have a specific label to it. But that's just my opinion, though.
The right is simple.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I disagree with that characterization, but I understand what you're getting at. But that's fine. I think that's okay. I think this is the last point that I really wanted to bring up. Let's see here, because I just want to make sure I kind of get to everything just so that we can close out this up on a decent note. At one point during the thing, and I appreciated the fact that we mentioned the fact that most political violence happens on the right. And you said, I need to fact check that. You looked it up. I want to ask you, when you looked it up, what did you see?
More right-wing violence.
Right. And when I brought this up, a lot of people had a negative reaction. They didn't believe it. They said, violence is very left-wing. I know you didn't. And I appreciate the fact that you looked it up, because a lot of people would be very disingenuous and won't even do that. A lot of the political discourse right now is in the direction that I was telling you about earlier, which is like framing the left as the more political violent party, even though it's not true. This is going viral everywhere, but none of the numbers support that. And I'm curious, from your perspective, why do you think that perspective is out there?
Because Kirk just got killed by the left.
Okay.
I think if it was different and some white supremacists, put another Charleston, we'd be seeing the same thing in the other way. Because it happened. Like we got the right got, labeled as racist and all that. Another white supremacist out here killing a bunch of, I think it's more. I think this is the more I don't call it viral, but it went viral. This event had the most attention towards it because of the nuance that came with it, man. But I think every time an extremist or act of terror comes and we figure out who did it, we're going to blame that side until something else happens.
Got you. And this is the last thing I want to talk to you about. Actually, the last one. At 3:58, you said, and I think you've repeated this, you said, ain't no talking to them. Nothing needs to be said. They need to be controlled. You were talking about people who were engaging in political violence, or the people, or the evil people who are like celebrating, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Sharon, you've seen that despicable shit, bro. Like, ain't no talking to them.
Yeah. Do you, okay. Well, this will be the last point. So what would you want to do with these people? Because like in the video, you went kind of wild. You said, hey, these people need to be exiled. You said they need to be decapitated. I was like, damn.
I was giving everybody that's on the good end that feels the type of way to feel heard in what I was trying to voice, bro. You know what I mean? Like if something violent happened to them, if they lost their job, if they lost their freedom, like, cause that's literally evil, bro. We don't got no time for evil. There's literally no talking to them. So we just expect them to just to like simmer down and not continue their evil.
Damn, man, you gonna make me the most like lip cut person in the world right now. I'm a disagree with you. I think people who do evil things aren't necessarily evil. I think sometimes they're hurt. I think sometimes they are in a really bad place. I think sometimes these are folks that, you know, and it's almost ironic too, because I do believe that people should be punished for the things that they do and they should suffer those consequences, but I don't think they're irredeemable. Labeling someone evil, I think, is a way for us to look at something and then simplify it. But the reality is that things are complex. People are complex, and the reason why they get to that place is very difficult. You know, there's plenty of people who were white supremacists or part of horrible gangs and came back from it. There's plenty of people who advocated for racism and different horrible things and came back from it. Same thing on the left side.
They better get back from it before it's too late. That's all I'm saying, because I ain't got time to care about why they are that they are. If you spitting evil, you saying some evil shit, you get the fuck out of here. Like, ain't no talking to you. And something bad happens to you because you fucking spit on Kirk's grave, or you up here acting like he got shot in front of a fucking memorial, bro. Like, I could care less. You know what I mean? Like, if hopefully you have a intervention or a come to God moment, then you can be saved. But before that, nah. And then I'm not Christian. I'm not no holier than thou motherfucker.
Fair.
Yeah, man. I know people may receive that wrong, dog. But like, you fuck around and find out. Hopefully you figure that shit out before you find out.
I agree. I would just say, you know, labeling people evil is just a blanket term to be able to just cut off any kind of sense of personhood in there. And like I said,
I don't consider them people. So
you don't consider them people?
Nah, they're nah. I'm not. I don't even have a discussion with you, because and at the end of the day, I know, especially at this point, dog. At this point, bro, with the whole Kirk situation, bro, I dropped a video on this shit, dog. Like, I've lost faith in humanity at this point after seeing how people address this problem. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you know, I am, you know, mentally, like, emotionally attached to my stance in this regard, dog. Like, I could care less about why you feel the way you feel.
But that's why I'm saying this to you. You can't be emotional about this and let it govern you, because that's why you get into the bad spot. Because I need you to understand, you saying this is the exact same stuff that leads to the other people looking at Kirk and saying he's an evil person. And when someone is just evil, killing them is no problem. When someone is evil, you justify the murder.
I understand what you're saying, bro. I understand what you're saying, dog. And prior to Kirk, I probably would have sided with you. But it is what it is at this point.
But you're being emotional, though.
Hey, I'm not gonna be the fucking better person. But I tweeted it, dog. When I saw,
I'm not asking you to be the better person. I'm asking you to be logical. I'm asking you to be principled. I'm asking you not to be emotional.
Look, check this out. Logically.
Yeah. I think that right wingers do.
No, look. Logically, it still wouldn't even make sense, because ain't no talking to them. Like, there's no point in me having a conversation with somebody
that's not like true, man. That's not true. Do you know how many people were talked out of killing people? Do you know how many people who had?
I'm talking about this instance right here, and I'm basing this anecdotally from the people that I've spoken with that are so misinformed, but they're unwilling to even entertain the idea that things are not the way that they believe them to be, right? There's no talking to them. So logically, it is what it is. You sealed your fate. So why am I going to sit here and give you the benefit of the doubt and try to kumbaya with it? Or what's the source of your problem? Why'd you get misled? No, fuck that, bro. Stay over there.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I disagree with the idea that there's no talking to them. There's plenty of people who've talked away from extremism. It happens all the time. I mean, there's a guy, what was the black dude who goes up to Ku Klux Klan members and literally talks them out of, fucking white supremacy. He talks them out of it.
Yeah,
there's plenty of people who do that.
I really think this situation is a one-off, because I'd expect the KKK to be that way, but the flooding of just random people out here saying the most sadistic shit, like I've never seen anything. Like, what would you compare this situation to that you've seen since you've been walking the God's green earth?
What would I compare? What situation?
What's there's nothing to compare it to. Bro.
Compare what? What?
Like the response, the demonic, the evil responses people have had to it, shitting on his grave, cussing him out, fuck Kirk and his mom and his
bro. I was on social media enough to see shit, man. Like a couple days after Trayvon Martin was dead, motherfuckers had a trend that went viral to say that it's called Trayvoning. They would say there and lay in the exact same position as how he was killed. They did the same thing with George Floyd. Remember, after he died, a motherfucker sat on the floor while someone had their neck, and they would take these pictures. Look it up. I didn't even make it up. You can find these things. There's so many examples of people laughing at people dying because they didn't like them and they didn't like what they stood for. That happens all the time. And these aren't even political people. These aren't even political people.
It was at this scale. It was at this scale.
It might not have been to this scale or in this terms of virality. I'll agree with you there, but I'm just saying people celebrate death. It happens. Paul Pelosi, that was another example. He was a 67-year-old man, and a lot of people were hashtagging and laughing about his death, and they were saying,
"I give you the one-offs." Like I'm not gonna say it's an absolute thing that nobody was out here doing it, but there was way too many this time, bro. There's way too many this time, and I was surprised. Don't shit surprise me about the fucking world, and I was extremely surprised to see that amount of fucking. There's nothing I can categorize, label it as outside of fucking evil. Or people that I didn't fucking expect. Even people that I know personally, bro, that I didn't even think had that type of shit in them is out here celebrating a man's death that way. When they got close to home for me, that's when the fucking opened the doors for me, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop it right there because it was already about to wrap up anyway. That was a lot. That was a lot. That might be a subject that might have to be spun back on. But I'm going to give a vague answer. I do believe most people are redeemable. I'm not going to really go into like any mechanics of it. Just like as far as my own personal testimonials, it's possible. Overall, with the back and forth between them two, you can tell who does more research than the other. I think that both of them had objectively different perspectives. At some moments, I could see them agree on some things, but then it kind of just went completely left, no pun intended. Children absolutely starve, sir. Both sides are, there are no sides in my book. Both sides are overly emotional. Both sides harbor ego, pride. Everybody on this planet has the propensity to display rage, betrayal, name an emotion. Most people have. Matter of fact, just put it this way: everybody has the inheritance. All right, so this thing that he's trying to say, and to say Charlie Kirk is one of the reasons why you lost faith. I saw that comment. I was thinking the same thing. How could you say some? No, it does not just start with him. Like that conversation right there, this has been going on way before him. Shout out to R, because like Chef said, he pulled the receipts up. He don't be playing around with that. And yeah,
it definitely highlights the hypocrisy of both sides, or of the right towards the left, where I don't know why they're so against all of these programs that we're in support of. Like, a lot of the things that, at least from my perspective, from what I've read, from what I hear from the side, they're against paying for people to have food, helping people with housing, helping people get into schooling, making sure that people have rights to do with their body what they need to be doing to keep themselves healthy and sane. And I can understand the religious perspective, because I can understand how that type of thinking can affect your view of the world. But it just, like, I still don't understand how they're so misguided about it, because we, like, on the left, it's literally, we want everyone to have equal rights. We want everyone to be treated equally. I don't understand where we're violent, we're all terrible criminals, we're just trying, like, to diminish this poor family and blah, 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 blah. Something else that I brought up on social media the other day, another hypocrisy, is everyone go like, oh, he had a family, he had a wife and kids and blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, he did. But guess what? So did the politicians that got shot and killed. So did the people that got stolen and taken to a different country that they've never been to before. So did the people that are basically having their rights taken away. Like, they all have families too. Why don't they care about those people? They just, honestly, it feels like the right is trying to uplift him to, like, Jesus type status. Give me 1 second.
It's all set up. All of it. That's why I don't think there's a real blurred line. Go ahead, you got it.
I also saw this article literally yesterday. I'm just gonna read it because I had to double check if this was actually real or not. But basically, they put out an article saying that he had Man of Steel, Charlie Kirk's body stopped a bullet that would typically just go through everything. And it was an absolute miracle that no one else was killed. The fact that they're framing as like he stopped the bullet, like his body is so strong that other people would have sustained damage, but not him. He was special. I'm like, good grief. Like, first of all, every wound is different. Like, nobody's going to manifest the same injury because there's always going to be a different angle. There's always going to be a different person. It's just crazy to me how much they're trying to exalt him. Like, I obviously still don't believe that anybody should be murdered for their beliefs, but the fact that he's being taken as this, like, martyr, for the symbolic martyr for the right side, is just mind-boggling to me, especially when we've had so many people on the left that have been murdered, and they're like, how dare you say that they should be remembered when Charlie Kirk was killed? It's just, it really highlights this hypocrisy, and this video really shows how little a lot of these people educate themselves on these topics. As we've kind of established, they really speak from an emotional standpoint, and they come in with just like catchphrases. Most of them don't come in with facts. They, like, you need sources. You need to be able to back up what you're saying. That is the whole point of research and science and like the information dispersion. Like, you have to show that you have actual evidence. And the fact that they just keep parroting the same thing over and over, like, it's like an echo chamber. I hear the same argument from every single person. But when I watch people who are looking at it critically, either independent or left, or sometimes on the right, that are just having the conversation about it, they'll acknowledge that it's it's a tragedy, but there are facts to it that people are choosing to ignore. And as soon as anybody brings those up, then the people that are hard right are like, how could you say that? How could you say that about him? He has a family. He has a wife that loves him and misses him and blah, 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 blah. And I just think it's so sad because there's so many people right now that are losing their lives, that are losing their families, that are being removed from this country, that are not being focused on, because they're so determined to focus on this one person. I saw a comparison actually a couple weeks ago where somebody was comparing it to the shot heard around the world, which is basically the theoretical shot that started the Revolutionary War or Civil War, one of the two. But it really has that like emotional fervor behind it without having actual basis in reality.
I can see why people were so tapped into this conversation.
While we're on the topic too, I just have to say this one because I learned about it earlier and I'm still like, my mind is still trying to wrap around like what kind of logic would create this. So I recently heard a theory that he's actually alive and he's out with Tupac, and it was staged, and it was actually a hologram, a really advanced hologram that shows this. That's an actual theory being promoted right now. And I just, like, I've seen videos of them seriously, like, yeah, that tent was 10 by 10, which is perfect for, like, it's exactly the size they need for the hologram. And then they showed this video of somebody taking down this, like, black box that was up on the tent. And they're like, see, that looks exactly like a projector. And I'm just like, mercy. What is happening to people?
I did a reaction video to Candace Owens on that. It wasn't a black box. It was a camera. There was a camera placed behind his head. Now, in her version of it, there was no blood. Where's the blood? There wasn't even no exit wound. The FBI or whoever was involved and in charge of the crime scene, they didn't find no bullet or nothing like it. It was a lot.
She was claiming that?
So the guy who took down the camera, she knows him. She got in contact with somebody who reached out to him. She had a FaceTime with the actual guy who took the camera down. She's saying that she saw the raw footage from the camera that was behind him. And what she saw, she didn't see blood. She didn't see what the front angle showed. But of course, nobody else has seen that footage but her. So it's like,
I saw a video evaluation recently, and he's a gun expert. I think he might have been military, but he was talking about the trajectory, and you can actually, if you slow the video down, it's really hard to pick up, but you can actually see the exit wound. There's actually a theory that he actually got shot from behind and it came out through his neck. I'm not sure if I believe that, but you can actually see like it come out the back. Like there's a little bit of a blood splatter from the back of his neck. So yeah, I know. I definitely think that there's some discrepancies with the story. I don't entirely believe the narrative right now, but some of these theories are way out there. I've also heard that he was like a doppelganger or like a patsy. Like they created somebody that looked like him. So yeah, there's some interesting theories out there.
Yeah. Don't worry. This won't be over this year. They'll still be talking about this come January.
They'll be talking about this even past Trump's death. Like this is going to be for a long time. They'll be bringing this up a decade from now, I bet. I joked with my mother-in-law that in 1,000 years there's going to be the Kirk Christians, where they exalt him as their they'll have a Bible about him and everything like that. How he turned opinions into love and spiritual. I don't know. You never know.
You don't. Overall, this was an interesting back and forth. Respect to both of them. It didn't get into, ad hominem attack or nothing like that. But like if I was keeping score, Alba got that. And that's all I'm saying. Some stuff you can't be emotional when you have these kind of conversations. It can be personalized. You have to remove yourself when you're doing this. It's easy to get sucked into it. But shout out to everybody, man, who pulled up tonight. Chef, I appreciate you for hanging out, sir. Your commentary and your feedback, as always, is appreciated.
Want to say hi? You can say it. Okay.
Hey. Much love.
I definitely agree with Chef that he definitely dismantled those arguments. He came prepared. I love that he was like, actually, you said this. Here's the direct quote, and then here's the timestamp at this point. Like, I always love when I see that, and it always highlights when the other person has not done the research. It's like the equivalent of a kid that clearly didn't prepare for the report that they have to do in front of the class. That's really how it felt. He was just kind of grasping for the things that he hearsay, really. I mean, that's really what it sounded like. A lot of that was hearsay from him. Whereas Abba brought more facts and like things that you can find in data and stuff like that. So I think that's another issue that I see. Right versus left is left comes in with logic and facts most of the time, and most of the time the right will come in with like flaming emotions and like hearsay. I saw somebody say this, I heard this on the news, I blah 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 blah. So I think we really need to work on how we have conversations, ironically, which is what Kirk was for.
Yeah, agreed. I appreciate you for coming out tonight. This one went a little longer than that. Matter of fact, this typically is the mark where we hit. Hey, happy Friday to everybody. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. You'll see me tomorrow, Lord willing. And yeah, man, if I don't get to chop it up with y'all, enjoy your weekend. Sydney, I'll see you on Monday. Shout out to Rob for the intro. Shout out to everybody that pulled up. Enjoy the rest of your night. Do me a solid before you go.
What's the goddamn button? Have a good weekend.
If I'm a one-hit wonder, at least I got one, huh? At least I got something, really ain't me. The beat bumping, one song could change lives. Let's see something, one joke could save lives. We gon' keep coming, keep functioning, something out of nothing. Ball-wise, I'm top 300, get your favorite artist. I'll chop it up with mutton if they haters. Your votes could be bludgeon if they for real. We getting money, so check BS minus Negroes, button everything authentic. Stupid shit I did it, punishing myself like my mom prison. No questions, no tea, not lifting. One time for tea, being broke wasn't living. One hit.